Bazooka! Alright. I made an all grain batch here, and it's basically, I believe I took a Scottish heavy recipe kind of thing, and I threw a lot of more hops in and all that. And I'm going to do the taste test here, and I only put a half a teaspoon of dextrose in to prime the bottle. I thought I'd go for a little less carbonation. Or maybe do a little more next time. Maybe 3/4. Great hop aroma through Glacier and Styrian Goldings in here. A lot of extra crystal malt because all I have is crystal pale and some black and crystal, so a little bit of all that in there. That's the first all grain batch, and I'm doing this to promote all grain. And I didn't have a sparge cooler or anything. I just did it all with a pot and a blender. I didn't have a grain mill. I just got it wet, blended it, and I used strainers, and I dumped sparge water through the barley in the strainers. And my pot was only so big, so I just made it more concentrated, and then watered it down until I got this is like 6.5 or 7% or something, and I aged it for quite a long time. Maybe about 2 months. It's excellent. First attempt, I didn't follow a recipe exactly. I looked at one and I took what I had and I made do. On extra hops, I didn't have the variety of hop I was supposed to have. Like I used Glacier and Styrian Goldings, and I just and it turned out pretty good. It tastes a little bit like you're getting a little bit of the barley husk out of there because I did my mash out. Not as long as maybe I should have. I didn't. I'm getting this right from a specialty malt barley seed distributor with really good stuff, and I assumed the guy who sold to me, I don't think knew too much about it, but I assumed it was a pretty high-tech strain of barley, so I thought I wouldn't have to do as much with the boil. But I did mash out for a bit, probably not as long as I should have. But I don't know if that's where the barley husk taste is coming from. But other than that, it's tip top, and there's very enjoyable. Very drinkable with the low carbonation. It's dry. Plenty of hops, but it's not like a double IPA or nothing. There's a color shot. It's like a brown ale, but a little more red. Yeah, a lot more crystal in there than what they called for. US-05, and I'm just gonna, from here on through the video, I'm gonna talk about the kits and the experiences with the kits that I've had. And I have some I could taste for you, but I drank a whole bunch of it already, so I can basically describe to you how I feel about the kits. And I kind of like the cans of malt better than the bags of wort. And we get a kit called Brewhouse up here, and it's at first I was liking it, but and you could soup them up and make them better, and that helps a lot. But even so, and maybe it's just my imagination, but I'm picking up a lot of tang in the aftertaste of these kits a lot of times, depending on the temperature or whatever that you're drinking it. And I believe that to be because they put an acid, ascorbic acid or something, in the wort to protect it against infection, and then you add your bicarb, which is a base, to get your pH back to where it's supposed to be. And I always, especially with the stout, it was extra kind of chalky, and you could still kind of pick up the acid in some of them, and I noticed it. Maybe not everybody does, and I have had some good ones that you couldn't really pick it out, but they're generally souped up with some extra barley. You know, they boil with some extra brown grains, or they use less water for the water addition to get a more malt in there and everything. But I'll never. I don't think I'll, even if I got offered one, I'd probably pass it up, because I can only see to get so far with the kit. I can always soup it up and make it pretty good that way, but there's always that taste in there that bothers me. The cans of malt are kind of crummy, but not. At least they don't have that in them, and you can kind of soup them up too. And there's different qualities amongst those cans of malt extract. Some of them have chunks of hop right in them, and all this, but I mean, there's no shortage of barley around, and I malted it. I got the raw product, and I malted it, and I dried it, and I browned it, and made crystal malt, and then I blackened it. And if you got a little bit of spare time, it's worth doing. You really get to smell the barley, and that's a good experience. But I'm just trying to raise awareness that all grain, you don't have to buy a lot of the stuff that you see everyone else have. You gotta adapt and overcome all that, and just don't let things stop you, because it's such a better beer. And at the first try, I've done multiple attempts at kits and multiple attempts at the cans of extract, and there's always, it's like Tang versus fresh squeezed orange juice. And even this one, like, this is not, it's pretty good. I'm not just saying, I mean, it's really, aside from it, a little bit of the barley husk taste, there's nothing wrong with it at all. But the kits, when you get a tangy aftertaste that just rides on and gets worse, and you can even pick it up the next day, on some of those kits, sometimes the hops don't come through. And like my brother did the same kit I did, he force carbed his and I bottled mine. And maybe mine was older, but they were both the honey blonde kit. And I just can't get any hop flavor. And I mean, I know there's usually hops in the beer, but I can't really define a distinct hop flavor that I can pull out of them. The whole concoction is his had a little more hop flavor. But they both were kind of gross. So, and I know people out there like them and that's fine, but I'm here to advocate not to be scared of all grain because of the cost in the system. I'm going to do a video of how to do it without the system and show you how easy it really is. With no sparge tank, I just set my temperature dial on the stove, and I put my thermometer in there. And when it got to, I can't remember what degrees it was, 57 or something like that, and then I just adjust the temperature dial and stirred it a little, and the temperature was within a couple of degrees, like 1 to 2 degrees, for the rest of the duration of the mash. So it worked just as good. I just had to add water to drop the percentage because I had it up quite high for the volume and stuff. So, and if you got a cheap old blender, it'll mash your grain up like nothing else. You get it wet, soak it for an hour, even 15 minutes. Get it wet, blend it. You got yourself a grain mill, and I just use hot pellets, but dry packet yeast is still really good. And I was thinking it was the yeast or something with the kits, but I put the dry packet yeast in here, and it's pretty good. It's just I'm pretty sure it's the US 05. Oh, It may have been Nottingham and Danstar. Um, Nottingham or Windsor. What I think it was USO5. Wow. That was a really good beer. And people can say you can do great kits, good kits, but I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you can kind of get them pretty good. But one attempt at all grain versus like how many flipping kits I've done, and I've changed stuff in the kits. I've swapped out the yeast, added hops. You know, you try these different things with the kits. They help, but they don't. They don't make good, really good quality beer. So that's the secret. And I'm gonna post one if you're interested on all grain with no gear. So this beer, what I've been rating against store bought beers, I'd give it an 8 because of the barley husk taste, which I don't really mind. But I know if I get rid of that, I'd be more up around a 9 or a 10 out of 11. And so I'm extremely pleased with that, considering that my brew house kits I would rate around between 3 and 5. I got the Winterfest, and I got the Honey Blonde, and I got the Stout. I still all got that back here. But 3 to 5 to 8, 8.5. There's so much good flavor in here. A little bit of adjustment, it'd be a 10 out of 11 or whatever. So, all grain,